So, is there a possibility that Bitcoin can become a soft money? So, let's say hypothetically, or in any event, is that possible? I know there's a limited supply, but technically, is it possible to be programmed in such a way or altered in such a way that it can become a soft money?
It's possible to do anything to Bitcoin, but what you have to understand is that money is always based on social consensus because money is a social technology. So effectively what's going on in Bitcoin is users run their own node, and that node is essentially you're choosing what rule set you want to run. So do I want to run the Bitcoin that has 21 million or 22 million or 23 million or 48 million? And so each user is deciding for themselves which form of Bitcoin is in their best interest. And as a holder of money, you always want the money that is most scarce or most limited in supply. So there is this, what they call in game theory is a shelling point, right? It's the strategy that distrustful players adopt in lieu of being able to communicate and trust one another. So the shelling point of money really is to just hold the most scarce money. So in Bitcoin, there's a really strong social consensus or shelling point on this 21 million motif. So while it is, literally possible that we could all decide, 21 million is not working, let's all go to 42 million. Only the dumbasses would do that because
And that's what altcoins are,
that's
essentially.
what altcoins are. All altcoins are that. So although it's literally possible, it's not practically possible. That people just won't do it. I mean, people will, and if they do it, the main chain forks. Your incentive is to hold both copies of the coin because you get allocated one for one, right? With sort of like the 2017 Bitcoin Cash fork. If you're holding Bitcoin, you're allocated 1 unit of Bitcoin Cash per unit of Bitcoin. And so what you've done is you've effectively forked that social consensus into 2 different layers, and then they compete. And that's, there have been a lot of attempts on Bitcoin. The 2017 fork was effectively a civil war among the community. And that, Bitcoin Core has won out. It's proven itself to be the winner there. But there's another threat here, and that is with custody. As I said, with gold, it was the centralization of gold's custody that was the problem. If a majority of the Bitcoin is centrally custodied and people are not using self-custody or multi-sig or some form of proof of reserves, some check that the Bitcoin that they're actually holding is their Bitcoin, even with a reserve check, if you're running an audit on the reserves, that just tells you that the custodian you're using has the Bitcoin they say that they have. But really, you need to hold your own. This is why we say in Bitcoin all the time, not your keys, not your coin. The more Bitcoin that is held with custodians, the more opportunity there is for issuing paper Bitcoin on top of it, or Bitcoin derivatives. So, and these instruments can actually be used to artificially expand the supply. And indeed, this is happening today, right? It happens less and less as we have more counterparty blowups. We just had a lot of them the past 6 months. But so long as that is there, you can have more. I've heard estimates of up to 50 million paper Bitcoin in circulation, whereas there's only 21 million possible at the protocol layer. So, and that's often called, that's overissuance. There's also rehypothecation, where people will basically lend out. You may have 1 unit of Bitcoin in reserve. You may lend that out, the paper Bitcoin, 4, 5, 7 times. That's all leverage on top of it. And all of these things can be used to suppress the Bitcoin price because you're effectively inflating the supply. So, the punchline there for anyone that's listening to this is, unless you hold your own private keys, you do not have Bitcoin. The Bitcoin you see on your bank or your Coinbase account or whatever custodian, I don't care who it is, I don't care how regulated they are. I don't care how many assets under management they have. I don't care how many friends on Wall Street they have. If it's becoming an ETF, it doesn't fucking matter. If you're not holding the private keys, you don't have Bitcoin. And you're probably going to lose it, honestly, because when this battle really heats up, all the Bitcoin that can be seized will be seized. Everyone in the world is going to be scrambling for Bitcoin as fiat currency starts to collapse. So my advice would be to get your keys in your hand as fast as possible.
We've seen that already with Coinbase announcing that they can actually like take your assets as collateral if they were.
You don't own anything in a bank ever. Even the dollars you have in your bank account are not yours. Read the statement. You're in a creditor-debtor relationship. You have loaned the bank your dollars. They're not yours. That bank blows up, your dollars are gone. FDIC insurance is a scam. It has less than 1% of the assets that it purports to cover. So this is like part of getting into Bitcoin is this shattering realization that almost everything you've learned in fiat reality is a lie. And almost every organizational, institutional form is a scam in one way or another. Sounds like strong words, but I mean, check me. Like go down the rabbit hole and check for yourself.